Shalom, it's Tahila from the Kifar with our bi-weekly Freestyle Friday video. And before we get into the topic, I want to say Toda Rabah to all of you who watched one of the videos from a few weeks ago where I talked about the anxiety that I get before teaching a class. You gave a lot of really great advice in the comments. Some of you even emailed me separately. So I really appreciate that. I've taught a lot of new classes since then. It's a process and it's going to take time, but the advice and the information that you provided was very helpful. So I appreciate that very much and just wanted to let you know. So in this video, what I want to talk to you about is making mistakes when it comes to language learning, and not so much making mistakes, because it's a fact that when you are learning Hebrew or any new language, you are going to make mistakes. In the beginning, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. As you continue on, you'll make less mistakes and you'll also make different types of mistakes, but really just coming to terms with that fact and embracing it and not being afraid of it. Because from my teaching experience, one of the things that hold students back is fear that they're going to make mistakes, that they are going to sound silly, they're embarrassed to speak Hebrew. And these are all very valid fears. I understand all of them, but the fact is that there's no way around it. The only way to get better at speaking Hebrew is by speaking Hebrew. There is no shortcut. And so the sooner that you just accept it and accept the facts that you're going to make mistakes, and it's fine, it's expected, it's a natural part of the language learning process, the sooner you'll be on your way to making progress in learning Hebrew. And the more that you learn, the less mistakes that you'll make. And so one of the reasons why, besides the fact that it's natural and there's no way around it, why you shouldn't be bothered by making mistakes is native speakers make mistakes in their own languages all the time. And I mean, I know that if you are on social media, you see the sorts of mistakes that native English speakers make all the time. And if your native language is another language, I'm sure that you have the same experiences and see that. So if native speakers are making errors in languages that they were born speaking and have spoken all of their life, of course, you who are learning a brand new language with a completely different alphabet, completely different rule system, and having to learn singular and plurals and masculine and feminine and all of that, of course you're going to make mistakes, and it's fine. Another thing to keep in mind is that the mistakes are lessons themselves, because when you make a mistake, whether you are in a session or whether you are speaking to someone who speaks that language, you're going to get a correction of some sort, and then you'll learn from that. And that means that you don't have to make that mistake anymore because you have learned from that and you can move on. And so it's as integral to language learning as everything else that you're going to do. The point is to not let that fear or that insecurity get in the way of you making the type of progress that you want to make when you are speaking Hebrew. And I understand it. I'm someone who grew up speaking Hebrew. I knew how to read, I knew how to write, all of that. And yet the first time I went to Israel, I was there for 2 months. And outside of maybe Shalom Toda, I didn't speak Hebrew at all. I spent 2 months, I listened to anything that anyone said. I watched TV, I listened to music, I read everything, whether it was signs on stores or things in the bus map, literally anything I could get my hands on. And so I learned a lot that way. I got a lot of vocabulary, learned a lot about the accent, but I also wasted 60 days of not speaking because the Hebrew that I heard in Israel was much faster than what I was used to. The accent was different than what I was used to. And so I didn't want to talk, which is nonsense because I wasted, again, 60 days of opportunities to improve my speaking because of fear and because of insecurity. And so I've been back 5 or 6 times since then, and I'll talk anywhere, everywhere, to anyone. And I'm not concerned with making mistakes. And it's not just because I am an advanced speaker, but also because if you make a mistake, so what? Then you learn from it and you don't make the mistake again. So I recommend just adopting that attitude. Like, okay, if you make a mistake, and this is not something that's going to harm anyone, right? This is not a mistake that can cause any sort of damage generally, unless you're saying things that you really shouldn't be saying. But just generally speaking, if you make a mistake, if you say the wrong word, then you'll learn the right word and then you can say it again with the right word. That's it. No harm, no foul. So my takeaway for you, what I want you to get from this is to not be afraid to make mistakes, because you're going to make them, because there's no way to get around it. Look at them as just as important as your language lessons, as whatever apps that you use, however it is that you are learning Hebrew. Look at the mistakes as just as important as everything else, because you will learn from them, you'll grow from them, your Hebrew speaking will improve, and you will make less of them. Jump right into it and understand that nobody is expecting perfection from you. You should not be expecting perfection from you. Native speakers are not expecting perfection from you. So do your best, make every effort to speak in every opportunity that you get. Okay, so that's it. So that's Fia, and I will see you next time. Lehitraot.